What will your C&P exam look like if you submit a claim for an increase, meaning it's already service connected? Now you want to increase, and this goes for any condition, doesn't matter what it is. Now, there are two sides to every single VA disability claim. The first and most important is that service connection, and the second are the symptoms associated with that claimed disability. The VA will rate your symptoms, not the diagnosis. The symptoms determine the rating that the VA will award. Again, the VA rates symptoms, not the diagnosis. Extremely important to remember. Watch this all the way through because there are a lot of nuances when it comes to these increased claims, which, by the way, increases are generally super, super easy to submit and super, super easy for the VA to process because the criteria for service connection is already established. And so now the VA is simply looking at your symptoms. Now, the symptoms will obviously change depending on the disability, but I'm going to show you a technique that you can use for any increased claim, and the examiner will complete the appropriate DBQ for whatever claim condition the increase is for. So here we are. We're going to ask Gunny Google. Now I'm going to do 3 different conditions. We'll do hypertension, we're going to do knees, and sinusitis, okay? All you have to do is type in your claim condition. So in this case, it's hypertension, 38 CFR, ECFR. Now I'm going to do this for all 3 so you can see how this technique works, right? So here we click the first link. Now this part you can't see. I'm hitting Control F and I'm going to look up hypertension. Hypertension, heart disease, hypertensive vascular disease, hypertension, blah, 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 blah. You got it. So here we go. Here's how the VA rates hypertension. So let's say you're at a 0%, which is very, 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 very common for hypertension, and you want to do an increase. Well, you say, well, you look at the 10% criteria, and you look at the top number, bottom number, so diastolic or systolic, 100 or more, or 160 or more, so bottom top. Or, there's an or statement, minimum evaluation for an individual. Now, this part, if hypertension pertains to you, that's what you care about. But you can look at the criteria for your claim condition. So let's just say you're looking at hypertension. You have that. Okay, well, let's go up to the next one. Do you have this one? All right, well, let's go up to the next one and then to the next one. And that's pretty much like you're going to die at some point. If you have hypertension rated or at 60%, that's not good. And that's how, and so now when you submit the claim for an increase, it's simply 38 CFR. Nothing else is involved, depending on like M21 TAC 1 of what we're actually claiming here. But that's how you do it. And I'm going to do this 2 more times to show you that, yes, this does work. Knee, 38 CFR, ECFR. Now, knee is not a disability, right? There are various diagnoses within the knee, but even being broad like that, Gunny Google will take you to the musculoskeletal 38 CFR. We're going to click that. I'm going to hit Control F and type in knee. And now it's like looking at the resurfacing or replacement. So this, unless you have a knee replacement, there you go. If you don't, just keep on going down to the other options that knee has. We're going to skip all of this stuff until we get to the range of motion. The knee and the leg. So here's ankylosis, which is the loss of use. And then here's knee, other impairments. And here is how the knee, it says leg limitation of flexion and extension, is rated on base of range of motion. The overwhelming majority of knee ratings are going to be range of motion. Now, there are your instability ratings, which are going to be up top here for patellar instability. There you go. And recurrent of instability. Got it. This is going to be your range of motion criteria. So if you meet this criteria, submit the increase. And we'll do this one more time just for good measure in case anyone thinks I'm crazy. We're going to do sinusitis as a PACT Act related VA disability claim. So sinusitis, 38 CFR, ECFR. Click this here, Control F, sinusitis, and here we go. Tons of various types of sinusitis. So now we have the general rating formula, and bada bing, bada boom, there it is, right there. 0, 10, 30, 50. So if you're at 0% for sinusitis and you have any of these symptoms or above, okay, really any of these symptoms, you know you can submit a claim for an increase. It is literally that simple. I think a ton of veterans really overcomplicate the process for no reason at all, especially for increased claims. They are extremely common. And not to get too deep into the weeds of it, but claims consulting companies really, really harp on and they put all their eggs in one basket of increases because they require no work and they are extremely easy. So that should tell you something. Hey, I need to look at increases. Now, something to keep in mind, and this is absolutely crucial. Although service connection is already warranted, right? We would want to submit evidence-based claims for service connection, which we are way past that if we're talking about increases. For increases, I still harp on the evidence-based claim, not evidence from service, not evidence of what happened 5 years ago, but evidence right now. I always recommend veterans submit evidence with their increased claims, meaning go speak to your healthcare team about your symptoms. Now, all of a sudden, you have evidence of those symptoms. So instead of relying on the C&P examiner, which I never recommend for any circumstance ever, instead of relying on the C&P examiner, now you have evidence supporting, hey, here's why I rate the increase, and boom, it's right there in your VA medical records, your private medical records, whatever it is that you are using. So if the examiner does not accurately annotate your symptoms on the DBQ, now you know to do a high level review, and now you know that C&P examiner is probably trash anyways. Food for thought. This also allows you to, one, understand your evidence going into that increased claim. And more importantly, the veteran can actually speak to the examiner and say, hey, in my VA medical records, I complained about my sinusitis and my headaches and my recurring headaches and blockage and treatment that I'm using. And the examiner, I promise you, the examiner is going to be grateful for you referencing your evidence saying last summer, which right now it's fall. So a few months ago, I went to the VA. I got all this evidence of my current symptoms. I had x-rays. I had blah, 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 blah. It was in July of 2024. And now the examiner can say, ooh, July 2024, let me go look at that evidence. Bada bing, bada boom. You are essentially completing the DBQ for the examiner. The examiner just kind of filling the blank in. That is a much better scenario than submitting the increase without evidence. And in that instance, the veteran is relying on the examiner to give an accurate depiction of their symptoms. And, I don't want to bash C&P examiners too hard in this video. We're definitely going to save that for later. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of examiners, and I would do everything in my power to not allow the examiner to rule my claim.